Next presenter is Dr. Jayashree Pura. Topic is fluid flow issues after posterior capsular rupture.
Should I start?
Yes.
Okay. Very good afternoon. I know this is going to be a little bit of a boring topic after saying those wonderful surgeries, but my job has been made easier by Dr. Suvira, who has already covered most of the points in this. So we are talking about the condition where you have a vitreous loss, where you have a 40% increased risk of retinal detachment, and you know that a simple surgery can become complex and it may eat up a lot of your time. So we have, what is the role of fluidics in phacoemulsification? As we all know, you have two chambers and you have a membrane in between. So following the law of fluidics, always there will be the flow from the higher pressure zone to a lower pressure zone. And when we are doing the phacoemulsification, we have a negative suction pressure. So the fluid, once the membrane is broken, it will flow. That means the vitreous will flow from your posterior chamber to the anterior chamber. Then again, the next law, that it will follow the path of least resistance. And where is our path of least resistance? That is our wound. So ultimately, you'll have a vitreous loss. So as already discussed, you have the patient-centric causes where you have an inherent PCR, but more important are your surgeon-centric causes where your faulty technique or maybe your learning that has caused a PCR, and more importantly, it is the faulty phaco-dynamics and the psychodynamics that is associated with PCR, because you have a long list of cases and you know that a single PCR is going to kill your time, it will make your surgery complex. And also sometimes what happens, you have a busy OT and on top of that you have lots of people observing you in the OT and you just feel that I need to just finish off the case. These are the cases when we tend to land up more into complications. So it's not that you have created the PCR, but how you manage the PCR that is more important. So every step of our surgery, right from our incision, be it the small side port, which we don't give much importance, but even a faulty side port can lead to turbulence in the anterior chamber, and that can also be a cause of PCR. And even the last of the cases, like we discussed about the hydro, last you're hydrating the wound, a PCR can occur at that point. And sometimes what happens, your IOL just juts out of the injector. You are implanting the IOL, it just goes into the posterior chamber. So we also have to remember that we are always concentrating on the dominant hand instrument, that is our phaco tip. But we have another instrument in the other hand, in the left hand, and we have to be careful about that too. So this is just a video showing the last piece, phacoemulsification. Now talking about the intraoperative situation, how do we deal with it? We may break the capsule, but you have an anterior hyaloid face which is still intact. You have a vitreous prolapse, means that your vitreous has come out from your posterior to the anterior chamber, or you have the vitreous loss, that means it has directly come out of the wound. So what's your response now? There are three responses. You might not realize that you have caused a PCR and you proceed with your phacoemulsification. It can happen when you are learning. You realize, you panic, and you just come out. You don't know what to do. Or you take a deep breath and rethink your agenda, and by using the appropriate techniques and settings in your phaco platforms and all the videos that we have seen here, you can beautifully and easily manage the cases. So now we have a new set of goals. You have to minimize the vitreous prolapse, you have to preserve the remaining capsule, implant the IOL, and complete your case. So the key here is avoiding the vitreoretinal traction, because our phaco tip, it is a very good aspirator. It's not a cutter. So it's going to separate your neurosensory retina from the RPE, and this RPE pump pressure is just 0.27 millimeter of mercury, so it's easily overcome. So early detection is best for management, and these are Dr. Howard Fine's 3 R's. Suddenly you find that you have increased space for doing your phacoemulsification. The pieces which were coming through to your phaco tip, it does not flow in easily, and you find some resistance to phacoemulsification, or maybe you can hear even the occlusion sound when the tip is not occluded by your nuclear material. So what do you do now? Just stay calm, go to foot position 1 and stop your phacoemulsification. Signal your nursing team. They should be aware that a PCR has occurred without the patient becoming aware of it. They should know what are the things that you require when you have a PCR. It's not that you have a PCR, then you search for your vitrectomy consumables. So this list has to be there. The vitrectomy kit has to be there with every surgeon performing phacoemulsification, and you also need a standby IOL of the correct power. So suppose the piece goes beyond the our territory, beyond the territory of anterior segment, it goes into a posterior segment. No instrumentation is allowed. It's better you refer your patient to your VR colleague. Just let your ego come down, because this fluid management which we see in the third picture, no amount of fluidics is going to float up your nuclear pieces. This is going to happen in the AC. It will not happen in the vitreous. So now you go slow, go stepwise. The most important thing, maintain the pressure gradient. How we do it? By filling it up with a dispersive viscoelastic, deal with your nuclear fragments, do a good vitrectomy, and implant a IOL. So the most important dictum is, don't let the anterior chamber collapse at any moment. Don't take out a phaco tip. We keep on repeating this, but the impulse is always to take out the tip once a PCR occurs. So it's a good practice, maybe for the beginners, that you try to inject when you are taking out the last piece. You might not have a high-end machine. So try practicing injecting viscoat through your left hand, because this becomes difficult when you actually have a PCR. And another important step is that viscoelastics are cheaper than our vitreous. Like ma'am had said, don't hesitate to put viscoelastics. Don't think about the IOP rise that will happen post-operatively. Even if required, you can go ahead with 2 vials of viscoat maybe, or any other dispersive viscoelastic. So if you are in a doubt about vitreous loss, then triamcinolone is the best option. You need to stain it with triamcinolone, because this is easily available and it helps in the easier detection of your vitreous. You separate incisions for your vitrectomy, close your main port when you are doing the vitrectomy. So as regards to whether you go for coaxial or bimanual, I prefer bimanual, because here you have the irrigation above and you have you are doing the vitrectomy out where you have the PCR. But when you're doing it with the coaxial, no, you are hydrating the vitreous. So my preference is a bimanual. Whether you go for a paracentesis anterior vitrectomy or the pars plana vitrectomy, which is more physiological, but you have to do the good vitrectomy. The 2 modes are there in the phaco machines. The main is that in cut IA, you have at foot position 2, you have the cutting. Okay, so now when we are doing the cut IA, we have to give the maximum cut rate that is there for your machine. For your conventional machines, it is 1500 to 2500 cuts per minute. But with the newer phaco machines with active fluidics, you can go up to 5000 cuts per minute. So this is anterior vitrectomy going on, and this movement of the vitrectomy port is allowed only in foot position 2 when you are doing the cutting. So
Thank you, Dr. Jess.
okay,
We'll
thank
wind
you so
up.
much. Yeah,
Okay.
it's just over. IOL implantation is done, post-operative course, and
Thank you so
thank you
much.
so much.
Excellent presentation.